Hi, I'm Cody Meisner. I'm a student with the University of Florida, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the first inspection of the season on your beehives. Uh, First inspection of the season is pretty important because you're going to be checking the health of the queen and the health of the brood, and you're also going to be checking for food stores. Currently, I am in here in southeastern Virginia, Zone 8A for USDA plant hardiness zone, and typically we do our inspections uh, sometime in late February to into March. Um, but typically, you want to wait for your temperatures to reach about the mid 50s before performing an inspection, and even then, you'd want to keep it pretty short. But don't rely on a date on a calendar. Try to rely on the temperatures to guide when you're going to do your first inspection of the year. And with that said, let's get into it. Before we get into the inspection, it's important to gather your tools. Right now, I have a smoker lit, as you can see. I have my high tool on the left there, and I'm currently all suited up in my own PPE. It's important to make sure that you suit up properly because as much as you want to see your bees may not want to see you. All right, to get started, we'll give the entrance a couple puffs of smoke, and we'll get the lid cracked. All right. First thing you're going to do when you get into a hive coming into spring is just take a general visual of what the hive looks like. You're going to be looking for moisture problems, mold buildup, any excess pest problem such as wax moss or even hive beetles. But this colony looks really good, really healthy. So we're going to take out the first frame here on the left, and we'll actually be taking this out of the colony so that way we have a little bit more room to work and we don't end up crushing any bees. You always want to be very careful with this first frame, and easy does it. And typically with these first frames, because they're on the outer edge, you're going to typically see the food frames, much like that pollen and nectar you see there, or leftover honey from the winter. Like I said, we're going to set this down on the ground outside the colony so we can take a further peek into the colony and check brood health as well as queen health. All right, we're going to dig into the colony here and see how the queen's laying as well as see how our brood health is going. So this is a perfect example of what you want to see coming out of winter into spring. There's a nice frame of capped brood, and you got pollen and honey on the edges. Typically, if it was a colder day, the bees would actually be clustered more towards more on the brood, but today's actually a pretty nice day, and I actually see brood and early larvae down in these cells. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick that up, but this is a perfect frame and already is telling me a lot about how the queen's health is going. I'll go one more frame over because I did see eggs on that frame, so I'm not too worried about the queen. And again, here we see a little bit of drone brood that's happening, but also a lot of larvae on this frame, as well as pollen that they've been packing in. So, with me seeing all the young larvae, all the pollen coming in, I know we have a healthy queen and the brood is being well taken care of. I don't feel like I need to go any further, at least in this first inspection. I see we have plenty of bees. As far as weight, they are a little light, but that is pretty normal when you come out of winter into spring. not abnormal to be a little bit light, but they have plenty of resources coming in right now, as you could see from that pollen. All right, as I said before, everything's looking really good in this colony. I'm not worried at all. Obviously, it made it through winter really healthy. So I'm gonna get them closed up as to not bother them any more than is necessary. Remember, you don't have to find the queen as long as you're finding the presence of the queen. I'm gonna give them a little smoke so that they get off the edge. I don't crush any bees here. There we go. And we'll get that lid back on. Moving forward, you're going to want to monitor the hive's health for everything from brood, but especially food. This time of year can be really crucial for honeybees, especially if they get a longer stint of cold weather deep into spring. It can really cause them to starve out. So make sure you're keeping an eye on the weather forecast and keeping an eye on your bees. Try to check them at least every other week. But personally, myself, I like checking them every week once I start in the spring to make sure I'm staying on top of not only food, but brood health and swarming, because it is right around the corner. But that is it for me today. Hope you enjoyed the first seasonal inspection of the year.